All right, for more on the IEC's timetable, I'm joined by IEC Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Mamabolo. Good evening, Mr. Mamabolo. So today you reached another milestone on your elections timetable. The final candidate list is now out and you complied with the Electoral Court's order. Mr. Zuma is at the top of his party list. Talk to us about today's milestone.
We are quite happy that we've reached yet another milestone in the evolving process of preparation for these elections. So we issued the final list of candidates, having gone through the objection process, having gone through the appeal processes. So we basically are saying, insofar as the commission is concerned, these are the parties that are going to be contesting, and these are the candidates that have been fielded. The next step of the process, yet an important one, which is to issue candidates with their certificate of candidature, and that happens on Friday, the 12th of April.
So that would be milestone 20 of the 28, I believe? Where are we now?
Come again?
So this is milestone 20, I believe, the one where you'll have the candidates signing now.
No, I'm saying the next step of the process is to issue candidates with their certificate of candidature.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Mamabolo, you issued a statement yesterday following the orders issued, and that statement stated that you're taking legal advice. You noted that there were no reasons furnished for the particular order. How difficult is it throughout the consultation process right now with your legal counsel at this point when you don't have necessarily the reasons of how they found perhaps against you?
Yeah, of course, it's quite difficult, but we also accept that the Electoral Court has a lot of work happening at the moment, so its load is quite heavy at the moment. So we are alive to that. Yet at the same time, we do think that it's important that we have reason so that we can understand the rationale behind the decision that is encapsulated in the orders issued.
With such truncated timelines, would there still be potential to appeal if maybe once you get the reasons you're not satisfied and feel that perhaps there's an egregious error here that will somehow impact even future elections? Is that even possible at this point?
Well, anything is possible. It depends if an appeal were to eventuate. It depends on how expeditiously it will be treated by the appeal court, whichever court that may be. If they appreciate the agency, they may want to hear the matter on an extremely urgent basis. And so on. Or it may well be that they think it's not a matter that is so urgent as to be had before the elections. Perhaps they'll deal with it as a matter of constitutional principle.
So what I'm getting from you is that people should not confuse the publishing of the list to you perhaps now having gone on with the process. Once you have gotten the reasons, there's still a possibility for you to appeal.
Yes, we've not made a decision definitively at this point as to whether an appeal will be launched. There are internal consultations underway, and we've asked for reasons, obviously, as has, I now gather, other institutions in society. So, it may well be that an appeal does eventuate, but there's also another possibility that an appeal may not be on the table. So, at the point where the Commission reaches a definitive position, will publicly indicate saying.
All right. I want to take you back to the timeline now. As you stated that tomorrow is the issuing of, on Friday is the issuing of certificates, a very important one. But I want you to also talk to us about the process to be followed when one has to notify the CEO of the intention to vote in a district where they were not registered, because this one is quite important. People are generally moving, and some were not even aware all along that if you are to move on the day of voting, you possibly could vote at a different district.
Well, the general rule in election administration is that you vote where you are registered, because that's where the provisions are made for you. But our legal framework also accepts the fact that personal circumstances may arise which necessitate you to travel just on the eve of elections. In that regard, Section 24A of the Electoral Act provides that you may vote at any station where you are not registered for as long as you serve us notification before the 17th of May. And that's a very important date, that you serve us a notice to say, Simon Mamabolo is not able to go to his station of registration, but is going to be voting at some other voting station. So you serve notice, which you can do online from our website or by submitting a prescribed form to the local office of the IEC.
And then insofar as the international process is concerned, the same applies? Indeed.
The 58,000 persons who are registered on the international segment of the voters' roll, in other words, people who are registered at London, Hague, Canberra, and so on, they do not need to notify us because they are already registered on the international segment of the voters' roll. However, South Africans who are in the country, who may be traveling outside of the country during the election period, they need to notify us of their intention to travel outside the country and the place where they wish. And by place, I mean a diplomatic mission where they wish to be voting.
All right. Unfortunately, we've lost the Chief Electoral Officer there, Mr. Mamabolo. I was actually just looking to get his comments on the Democratic Alliance winning that particular case. Mr. Mamabolo, I believe you're back on the line. Just your comments on the Democratic Alliance winning that particular case now for moving voter stations abroad.
Yes, we received those orders also yesterday. At the Electoral Court, we will be engaging on an urgent basis with DECO because they would have to carry the major part of implementing that order. For instance, they have honorary consuls; they know them. We don't know them. So
is there capacity at this point?
Discussion with. Come again?
I'm saying, is there capacity now for the more voting stations at this point? Or given that the order was just granted yesterday, you're still going to work around that?
We still have got to establish with DECO whether such capacity is available, if not, whether it can be mobilized, and what would be the cost of such mobilization.
All right, Mr. Mamabolo, thank you very much for your time this evening. That's IEC Chief Electoral Officer Mamabolo.